Welcome back to the channel and the series From Whoredom to Whole. I am so excited to introduce my buddy, Miss Doris Barren. She's going to talk about confidence and the importance of having confidence. So welcome her as you watch this video, all right?
Hello everybody, my name is Doris Barren, and I am here to talk to you a little bit about what I call confidence, but really self-confidence and what that means to all of us. I did a little research before I decided to do this talk, and I looked up the actual definition of self-confidence, and I'm going to read that to you now. This is from Oxford. It's a feeling of trust in one's abilities, qualities, and judgment. All of this is driven by a positive mindset, which is a positive outlook on the world and our place in it. Now, let's think about that for a second. We talk about self-confidence. Anything and everything that we do in terms of how we see the world, how we respond to the world, and those things that happen to us from outside of our own internal behavior is based on how we think about it. Now, if you believe that you have no skills, that you have no abilities, that you are not worthwhile, then of course your self-confidence level is going to be very, very low. So if we really want to have a high sense of confidence about ourselves, we have to think highly about ourselves. And that gets to self-esteem and self-worth. Anyone who has a high sense of self, that's high self-esteem and self-worth, is going to think highly of their abilities. So self-confidence has a direct relationship to how we feel about our skills, our knowledge, and our worth in the world. And as I was writing my book, Change Your Mindset, Save Your Child, Saving our children by healing ourselves, those are the two main things that came out of much of my research. When we talk about self-confidence, that opens the door to so many other opportunities that we give ourselves the right to take advantage of. But we first have to have that self-confidence in ourselves. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to understand that we have that work, that we are able to do the things that maybe we can't do them today. Maybe we won't be able to do them tomorrow. That doesn't mean that we won't eventually be able to do them, but we have to believe in ourselves that we can and we will. But what does that take? Let's think about that for a moment. It's good enough to be positive. Yes, not by itself though. We also have to be persistent. We have to be prepared. We have to do the hard work that it takes to get where we want to go, to build those skills, to build that knowledge. We have to do what is necessary. But the mindset that we go into this with determines how much we really want this. If I really, really want to achieve something and I want to do a good job of it, I have to have a mindset that says, I can do this. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some research, but I know I can do this. I know I will do this. So that is what helps us to be persistent. and to continue until we reach that goal. Now let's think about how that affects our children. Many of you who know me know that I advocate for our children, and that was one of the reasons I wrote the book. I have gone back into substitute teaching because I really love that interaction, personal interaction with our children, not just with you, their parents, guardians, grandparents, whoever you may be in their lives. I like that personal interaction with our children. I was substitute teaching one day last week, as a matter of fact, and I ran across a student who absolutely refused to do his math assignment. And he did everything he could to distract the class, disrupt things, just to keep, mind you, from having to actually look at the math problem that he had been given along with everybody else in the class. Finally, I realized, I said, I think I understand what's going on. So I took him outside the classroom and we had a little talk. And just as I suspected, he didn't understand it, but he was too ashamed to say anything. So rather than seek the help that he needed, he did everything he could to distract everything and everybody. Where did that come from? If he had self-esteem and self-worth at a level that allowed him not to feel bad about not knowing something and being willing to ask the teacher for help, me in that particular case, we both could have avoided a lot of unnecessary, you need to do your assignment, honey. This is something that your teacher wants you to do. And he still sits there. Half the class time, it gets wasted when things like that happen. I learned that he did not understand the assignment. He wanted something easier to do instead of that. This is where self-confidence comes in. But he's not going to have that self-confidence, nor will any of our children have that self-confidence on their own. We collectively, you the parent, you the guardian, you the grandparent, me the teacher, we have to work together to help him build his self-confidence so he would feel good about being able to do something, maybe not today, but tomorrow. However, the problem there lies in what is our own self-confidence? Where are we with our self-confidence and our self-esteem and self-worth? Because if we don't have it, how in the world are we going to teach him and other students like him to have that same self-confidence? Because remember, as I say in my book, our children learn what they live every day. If they observe us acting in ways that suggest that we don't want to try anything that's challenging because we don't think we can do it and we don't want to let anybody know, then of course they're going to do the same thing. They are learning from us. We need to keep that in mind. Now, how do we build our own self-esteem and our own self-worth? In the same manner that we help our children, by being willing to tackle those things that are difficult. I'm not saying impossible, I'm saying difficult. Maybe you don't have the knowledge or the skill level to do something today. However, with a positive outlook and a growth mindset that says, I can do this given time, given hard work, given persistence. That's what builds up that confidence. Because once you meet that challenge and you persevere and you get the results you're looking for, that helps to build your self-worth, your self-esteem, your self-confidence. When your children see that happening with you, then they're going to be more willing to reach out and do it themselves. But they get their cue from you, from us, the adults in their lives that are out there to be that role model for them that they deserve to have. Many of our children are going through the various stages of transformation from childhood to young adulthood, where a lot of these kinds of things are going to be happening to them. The other thing that we have to look at is how do we help our children, and ourselves for that matter, keep other people from detracting our thinking about ourselves. One of the chapters in my book is don't let others define you. Define yourself. Well, if you have a low self-esteem or low self-confidence about yourself, anybody can come along and define yourself for you. Now, that is not what you want. But that means you have to be willing to think for yourself. That means you have to be willing to look at what you need to build your own self-confidence and not depend on somebody else. Because believe me, they're not going to give you what you need. You have to do that. It becomes an internal thing. Self-confidence grows as we grow. The more we do and accomplish, and the more challenges we take on and actually achieve a goal, the higher our level of self-confidence becomes. That will be true for us. It will be true for our children as well. And believe me, they need that. As they grow into adulthood, as they go from elementary to middle school to high school to college, they're going to need that self-confidence to keep them going, because their work is going to get progressively tougher for them. But that should not stop them. They need to know that they can do it, even if they can't do it today. Just think about some of our inventors. How long did it take um, Thomas Edison to create a light bulb that actually worked? Do you think that happened overnight? No. Do you think that happened with one or two experiments? No. It took thousands. What about the telephone? What about other inventions? It took persistence. It took continued practice. Try this, try that. Yeah, this didn't work, but let me try this. I know that doesn't work now, so I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to do this over here. But we keep doing it until we find what we need that makes it work. Well, it's the same thing with everything else. It's the same thing with other things that we ourselves are being challenged with on a daily basis. We will get there, but we have to believe that. Nobody can make you believe it. That's an internal thing. Those are mindset choices that we make, not only around self-confidence, but other areas of our lives as well. But self-confidence certainly helps us to decide and to choose to do other things that may be challenging to us right now. But we believe enough in ourselves to say, we are going to make it. I am going to make it. I know I will be able to do this, even if I can't do it today. It doesn't matter, because I will get there. Just one second. But it's a daily practice. You don't stop. You keep going. Maybe you slow down, but you don't stop. You keep going. Self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, all of those are critical to leaving a life that we don't want to moving into a life that we do want. And those are the things that are going to help us get there. It doesn't matter what else is going on around you. What's important is, what are you doing to get yourself to the point where that self-confidence, that level of self-confidence that you need, that level of self-esteem and self-worth, which are all three intertwined, when you get to that point, then you know that you are capable of anything and that no one else can stop you. No one else can tell you that you aren't able. No one else can convince you that you aren't worthy, because you know you are. But that takes time, and it takes constant work on ourselves. But it all begins with that positive outlook that says, I want to do better. I want to do anything and everything that I believe God has given me the opportunity to do. And those are things that I believe to the bottom of my heart. I would not be here if I did not believe that. There are things that I had challenges with in my life many times. As a young mother, raising children, I didn't even know what being a good mother looked like at that time. But I had to keep going because I had them to think about. I eventually realized I'm their most important role model. What am I doing to help them have that self-confidence that they can make it in the world if I'm not doing it myself? The same goes for all of you. If you want your children to have high self-esteem, high self-worth, high self-confidence, then you've got to demonstrate that for them and teach them. Teach them. Don't give them things that are so easy to do that they'll just run right through it. They won't be prepared for those things that are challenging later on if everything we give them is easy. That doesn't help them. All it does is set them up to fail. Their self-confidence will be shattered because they haven't been challenged. You're not going to be around them 24/7 for the rest of their lives. So this is the time to start preparing them for that. And we do that by making sure we're there first and then helping them to get there. Self-confidence is something we all need. Self-worth, self-esteem are all part of that. So let's do what we need to do for ourselves so that we can help our children get there. As I mentioned before, being a substitute teacher, I'm in the classroom a lot these days. And I am noticing that many of our children are not pushing themselves. And I believe a lot of that has to do with them not believing that they can do it. I do as much as I possibly can to encourage them and to praise them when they're making progress. But they need it from all of us, not just in one area. They need it from all of us collectively. Let's work together to make sure that our children build their self-confidence so that they can tackle this world that's out there waiting for them. Some of them waiting for them to achieve, some of them waiting for them to fall flat on their faces. But we want them to be strong enough that they can handle it and handle it well. But we have to be able to do it ourselves first. And once that happens, we will see an entirely different scenario before us from our own self esteem, self worth, and self confidence to what our children are showing to us based on what we are teaching them. And with that, I'd like to say thank you for listening. I hope this has been helpful. And would you please let us know if this has been helpful to you? Like it, subscribe to the channel, whatever you need to do. And if you like what I've talked to you about, leave a comment. Let me know if there's anything else I can help you with or that I can share with you. I would love to do that. As I mentioned before, my book, Change Your Mindset, Save Your Child. Saving our children by healing ourselves. This is where much of my inspiration has come from. Research I did for this book includes a lot of those things that we just talked about today. I urge you, I encourage you to go out to Amazon or any other book selling resource and get a copy of it. I believe you will be glad that you did. And with that, I want all of you to have a blessed day, and I hope things go well for you. Thank you.